Hi guys, welcome back to the Kernel. Today I'm going to show you how to grow your own Kombucha Scoby from scratch. If you're not familiar with kombucha, you should know that it's a fermented tea that's slightly fizzy. It's existed for centuries in multiple cultures. It's filled with probiotics similar to yogurt or sauerkraut. It's traditionally made with black, green, or oolong tea and sweetened with sugar and sometimes honey. Many people recommend using it to fight sugar cravings. It can also be used as a replacement for soda or even alcoholic beverages. It does come in a variety of flavors, and it's very easy and affordable to brew at home. Kind of similar to sourdough bread, kombucha has a starter or a SCOBY. SCOBY stands for a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeasts, and it's essentially a slimy looking pancake that ferments your tea. Think of it kind of like the slimy substance that you'll sometimes see in natural apple cider vinegar. To grow your SCOBY from scratch, boil 8 cups of water, then turn off your heat and add in 3/4 of a cup of sugar and 6 black tea bags. Let your tea cool until it's room temperature and remove the tea bags from your liquid. Then it's time to pour it into a clean glass jar. I used a 1-gallon size glass jar that I found at Walmart, but I'll provide a link to one that you can order from Amazon in the description below. You won't be able to grow a SCOBY without using a starter of some sort. I recommend using GTS brand Original Raw Organic Kombucha. Try and find a bottle that has a little bit of the mother or SCOBY substance floating at the bottom. You're just going to pour the entire contents of the jar into your brewed tea. Unfortunately, I didn't capture that part on video, but I'm sure you get the picture. This officially starts day 1 of growing your own Kombucha Scoby. You can see in my jar here that the Scoby that slid out of my store-bought kombucha is about the size of a quarter and maybe just a little bit larger, and it's just taking up a small amount of space in the surface of my jar. There's a few other little floater-like substances that have poured out with the Kombucha Scoby, but for the most part, it's just that one little mass of Kombucha Scoby that I have to start my tea with. You're going to want to keep your tea out of direct sunlight and covered with a tea towel secured with a rubber band. Keep it in a room that's about 68 to 72 degrees. Depending on the environments that your Kombucha Scoby is growing in, you may or may not see a difference by day 2. I couldn't resist taking a peek, even though I know you're supposed to leave it untouched for the most part, but I took a look and was pleasantly surprised to see that the surface of my tea looked a lot cloudier than the previous day, and you can see that those little floaters that were there before expanded into somewhat larger growths. You can also see on the side of the jar here that the Scoby is starting to grow downwards instead of sitting just on the surface, which really surprised me for just the second day of growing. All of these growths might look a little bit scary and alarming at first, but they're actually quite healthy for your Kombucha Scoby, and it's just a part of the growing process. If you see something that looks like this, nothing's wrong, it's just what's going to be fermenting your tea. And here's just one final look at the surface of that Kombucha Scoby before I move on to showing you what day 3 looked like. On day 3, I was absolutely shocked by the progress that was made. When I took the tea towel off the cover, I saw that the surface was a lot thicker just in less than 24 hours, and there appeared to be a lot of bubbles on the top of the surface. I did lightly tap the surface of the Kombucha Scoby with a clean finger, and it felt very flimsy, kind of like tissue. I resisted the urge to check on my Scoby for a few more days just to kind of speed up the progress, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that a lot of the bubbles had disappeared and it was a lot more solid of the film on top. I took this image of me holding the Scoby at the beginning of the day, and this second image here I actually took later on in the exact same day, and you can see how much it grew within just a few hours. Those downward growths kept on progressing and becoming a lot fuller in the jar. By day 8, the Kombucha Scoby was looking a lot thicker, and the kombucha tea itself was starting to smell a lot more like vinegar, so I knew that the fermentation process was working. On day 12 of the fermentation process, I decided to take another look and feel at my Kombucha Scoby because it looked like the Scoby was starting to split into layers, and I was right. You can see when I lift it out of the jar here that it's pretty solid. It does feel a little bit slimy, but when you lift it up, I could actually have peeled 2 layers apart if I wanted to. This is how you can give starters of your Kombucha Scoby to friends, but I wanted to keep it all in one jar to make my first batch of tea a little bit stronger. By day 14, I decided that my cycle of growing my Scoby was complete and I went ahead and brewed a fresh batch of tea. I'll do a video of this later on, but please comment below if you have any questions about the Kombucha Scoby growing process, what it takes for the environment to get started, how to flavor it, or anything in general, and I'll make sure to create videos for that later on.